Welcome to the greatest Rotary Club in the universe. All right. You got to start today, Mark Christ. You got an invocation.
Okie doke. Hello? Okay. Please join me in prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for friends and family. Thank you for the opportunity our Rotary gives us to serve others. Bless this food to our use and us to your service, and make us mindful of the needs of others. Through your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Mark. Flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Four-way test.
Is the truth, is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
And Marty, do we have a song?
Yes, we do. We have a theme today because tonight is what?
The barbecue.
Oh man, I was wanting to yell out. So we're gonna sing "I Wish I Was an Oscar Mayer Wiener." We're not gonna do the spelling one because I can't spell. I get nervous. So here we go. Oh, I wish I were an Oscar Mayer Wiener. That is what I truly like to be. And if I were an Oscar Mayer Wiener, everyone would be in love with me.
Rotarians today. Sheena.
I have Craig Mackenzie here from Oak Harbor. He mainly took a wrong turn and wanted to see what the best Rotary Club in the universe was like, but he also has a little to tell you about Hydros for Heroes.
Hi there. I'm from Oak Harbor. Not this weekend, but next weekend, we're putting on my team, my real estate team. This will be our third year doing it. We put on a big hydroplane racing event. I bankroll the whole thing. My team puts it on. Rotary supports it. They bring the bodies and help us with the Navy and a bunch of other people. We raise as much money as we can. We got beer gardens, live music Saturday night. It's a 2-day event. It's free to the public. There's VIP stuff. You can pay to tailgate, take a camp. And when it's all said and done, we close up the books. Whatever money we net, we give it all to Rotary. So this, in the first 2 years, we've given just shy of $58,000. So we're trying to raise this to a $100,000 a year event. On your tables, there's some rack cards. There's some program from last year's event that'll be just like that this year, only a little different. It's going to start on Saturday. We'll start racing at 10 a.m. It'll go to 5, and the band start playing. Sunday's going to be 11 to 6 and an award ceremony. So if you want to come to town, yes, sir.
So it says Homes for Heroes.
Turn that around.
Right.
Okay, so it's a double. It's the Hydros for Heroes. We do a Homes for Heroes as well. That's part of our real estate team. So when we help a hero buy or sell a home, we give back 25% of everything we make as our way of saying thank you. We've been doing that for 2.5 years. Actually, we were 4th in the country last year for giving back, and we just now broke $616,000 that we've given back to our heroes in and around Whidbey Island. So that's a whole other thing. That these were made for the parade, so when we hand them out, it's a twofold. But for you guys, this was more about the hydros. So if you can come to Oak Harbor and drink some beer and bring some money and spend it, we'll be able to give more money to Rotary. So thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, any guests of Rotarians?
Like all our middleweight today.
Any other guests? All right, any committee, board reports, anything like that? Anybody? We have a couple of announcements, and so we're ready for those two. I'll start with, there's a board meeting next Tuesday, and we're going to try to drill down the budget, get that figured out, and I'll be wanting to talk with Steve Massey and Dan Hockett to start to prioritize the special projects that we voted on, and we gotta find the cutoff, and that depends on the budget, and then we'll start figuring out how to get all that work done. So that's gonna be pretty exciting. Travis?
Okay, so Marty pointed out that I should maybe make a quick announcement about this. I don't know how many of you know this, but Rotary Club Runner has an app. You can download it, it's free. You tie it to your Club Runner account, and it basically has all the information on our club, so you can easily get to individuals with their contact info. So you don't have to carry around the book, you still can, but it's all in there, really handy.
It is super cool. It took me 2 seconds to do it, and now I have it all on my phone. Look out.
Gina?
I'm passing around a sign-up board for the softball game. We need a count of how many people plan on eating at the barbecue on the 20th. It's on the board there, and then maybe some players too. But you can just be eaters. You don't have to
Are you
be players.
talking for a show of hands of softball players?
Yeah, it's on the sign-up, so we can get us that to go around, and then I can give a count so we have enough food for
So
everybody.
you want players and eaters?
Yes,
All right.
players and the eaters can play, players can eat, but the eaters can cheer. And
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna need all the help we can get. Hey, Chuck and Johnny, can one of you give a update on the bin that we borrowed today for an ice bucket and about what we're supposed to be filling it with and that kind of stuff?
Absolutely. Hey, thank you. Rebecca is saying that the items are being received really well. They're really limited. Please remember to bring in any hotel toiletries. Also, reading glasses. There's a need for reading glasses and bags. So either paper or plastic. Bring them on in, and they have a really great need for it. And it's working out really well for me. And what I'm going to do is, as I'm driving around or going places, I'm going to stop at hotels and solicit them for any hotel toiletries that they can donate, because as it turns out, that size is almost perfect for a lot of the folks that are moving around and, from house to house, or, even in their RVs or whatever like that. So, there you go. Thank you very much, guys.
Skip the schedule hotel.
Yulia, could you give us an update on this shiny black board over here?
So the board arrived.
Maybe you can simulate taking a picture with it or something.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Teach people how to do
I don't
this.
that much time. I think people know how to use it. So we do have shiny markers still. They're all fluorescent. So keep in mind, please, that this is not meant to be seen from every corner of the room. The initial plan was to have just a small board that people can jot down the announcements so they don't fade, they don't, all the dates are there, the important events and all of that. So it meant to be a small one. And then we thought, well, we'll make it a little bit bigger so we can fit more things. So you can write, if you have an announcement that you don't want people to mishear or forget altogether, this is an opportunity for you to come at the beginning of the meeting, just jot down your event that you want to draw attention to, and then at the end of the meeting, people can go and take a picture with their phone and take it home to their spouses, to their families, so that they don't forget to put it on the calendar if they don't do it right away here. So that's something. Another piece that is kind of interesting here, it's also magnetic, so you can stick your flyers to it. If you just have a flyer, stick it to the wall, people will click a picture and the information will be saved. Yes, it's super fun.
You don't have to shake them.
A little bit. Okay?
If you hadn't guessed, I live with a planner. And no one has an excuse anymore because she's making sure of that. We have to tell our spouses of what's going on in Rotary.
Hey, that's one of them. So you have all the bright markers over there in the box. We'll keep them out. It is a white wet erase so that it doesn't have that ghost writing. You know how you use the erase board and you can't erase the thing and it just stays there forever and creates this mess around. Well, this will be a much better quality, but you do have to use the wet towel as opposed to dry towel, and then use it the dry. So we'll keep it all there.
All right, so can you read what's on the board? I think there's some announcements already there.
All right, we've got salmon barbecue tonight, 5:30 at Riverfront Park. We are all excited. The team that is putting it together has been doing a beautiful job over the years, and we're looking forward to it tonight. So hopefully we'll all see each other there again. And Thursday, September 13th, that is Rotary Golf. Lots of big prizes. You've seen the announcements on the Rotary rotating display as well. Softball, that is inter-Rotary event, and that is on September 20th. All of these are Thursdays. So Thursday tonight, next Thursday, Rotary Golf. Next Thursday after that, Rotary Softball.
All right, well, thank you. All right, I got an email from the president or past president, David Lukoff of Mount Vernon. They are offering us a free table to attend their auction November 9th at Christ the King. And we like to go and support them because they support us. So if you can make it on the 9th, that would be great. I can't make it. We would probably go because we're friends with David, but we'll be on our anniversary vacation at that time. So think about that, and if you can make it on the 9th, there's free tickets to the Mount Vernon auction. Let me know. We'll get you connected.
It's November 9th, right?
What did they say? November 9th. Yeah, November 9th. All right. I want to thank Arnie and her team, Team September, for getting this thing started. As we're having pizza today, we're struggling a little bit with caterers, and our catering committee headed by Josh is all over that. I asked him to work with this committee and figure out an action plan to make it easy. And that's what he suggested. It's getting harder, so we got to do something in that. And there's plenty of options. We just need to do that. And Josh, you're not here, are you? He's probably down cooking fish. I asked him. I said, "Are we getting frozen farm-raised salmon?" He said, "Heck no, we're getting fresh caught, not frozen Kings." And that's the way we always do it. So you won't want to miss that tonight at the barbecue. There's a little bit of uncertainty about when it starts and when we eat, but I'm sticking with be there by 5:30 and we'll eat by 6:30. And if we eat at some other time, or if you're there at some other time, that's okay. All right, any other announcements before we go to wrap? Yes, Wendy.
Just a quick one. Wanted to remind everybody we have Brewfest coming up September 22nd from 2 to 7 p.m. Lots of different brewers coming to share their craft with everything. There'll be all kinds of food, and it'll be downtown at the gazebo.
Yeah, it sounds like it'd be very beautiful of us to go and partake in that.
And there are some extra posters here if anybody's interested in putting one up in their window, their business window. I think all the sponsors would appreciate it. Thank you.
And before you go, Chad, I want to thank you, Chad, for jumping in. We were looking for ice today, and I asked you to get it, and you went and got it, and thank you. Christine, thank you for grabbing the pizza. You do it, you just see a vacancy in what we need, and you fill it, and that's the Rotary way. Thank you. Go ahead, Chad.
I was just going to say, the proceeds from the Brewfest go towards the Helping Hands Food Bank.
Oh, that's great. Helping Hands Food Solutions Center, right?
Correct.
David, can you, I understand your mother passed away. We're very sorry to hear that, and we have a card for you. And could you tell us about the service, please?
Thanks, everyone. My mom loved Rotary. She loved the salmon barbecue. I have very, very fond memories of attending the salmon barbecue when it was here at Bingham Park. Year after year, it was just a high point. It started the year off well. So have fun tonight. I won't be able to be there. My mom's service is this Sunday at 1:30 at Lemley's, the chapel. And then we're having a reception immediately after that at the Gurney home in Burlington. Monday morning at 10 o'clock at Union Cemetery will be the burial graveside, a simple service. So thank you for all your thoughts and prayers. It's a blessing. We're happy because she's with my dad now and Brian. So that's what it's all about.
Thank you, David. And David, this is a great opportunity. You could actually write that time of 1:30 on Sunday on our new board, and then people can take a picture of it, and then they wouldn't forget. See how that works, guys? All right.
I have a $5 happy buck. I have a grant 3 ounces, 21 inches long. And her name is Riley. Nobody else is happy. Who's got a sad butt? I have some. Oh, good.
I'm happy about that I got this wine right here today. And I didn't just
Hey, Marty.
I'm happy $3 each for my 3 kids. School has started and they are there.
Well, thanks for whoever has been online. We got 208,000 views on our lip sync video, so these guys are movie stars now, I guess, or YouTube stars.
Chief, I don't think we all know about the lip sync video. Tell us a little bit about that.
You know, I was in Yellowstone. I had nothing to do with it. I wasn't involved in any of that. But actually, we had several of our guys get together, and they really wanted to do it, and we got thrown down. There was some Rotary members that threw me down too, trying to get us to do it. But they kind of did a grassroots thing. Somebody reached out and says, "Can we film this video?" And I think there was a lot of late night shift figuring how to do this. And I made them stop doing about half the things they were planning to do. And then they went and did. They went and stole one of Dean's fire trucks, and it was awesome. And Dean has a starring role in it, so at some point you should ask him about it.
And if you haven't watched it, you probably should. And they, I don't know if you guys are keeping up with Tatiana, they did a little cameo and dedicated it to her. I mean, they put her jacket in there, but yeah, she lost her leg, so just to keep you guys up on that. So it was kind of a really cool thing for her to have that in the video. So if you haven't seen it, get on there and watch it.
It's a YouTube video? YouTube?
Yes.
Happy buck. 10. Happy 10. Just got back from Alaska, 6 weeks up there. That was good, even though it was cloudy and rainy every day. Sorry I'm going to miss a softball game, but I am happy because this is the last year that I'm going to be a director for putting on Key Arena Clinic. So that's the same dates, 20th through the 24th. And so this will be my 5th year doing that. So I'm kind of excited to have gotten that started and put it behind. Took a couple phone calls as I was driving in here today, and it looks like we have approaching a full complement, plus we got a notification from Uganda, from the Minister of Health down there, and all of our certificates in order. So we will be doing our trip in December to a village, and I believe I've talked to Carl a little bit about if we do this on a multi-year, do a couple trips to help them out. We might do that as a Rotary project. We are being needed by a Rotary club in Uganda that will be transporting us and housing us down there, so that's all coming together. And so now, in my post-president year, I get to go back to work and get all these things handled, so happy about all of that.
What do you do with all the free time? All right, any other happy bugs? A quick announcement, we have our district governor coming to the barbecue tonight. Her name is Linda Murray. She's what I call a Rotary junkie. She shows up at all the events for the last 10 or 15 years, and she's always there, a perennial helper. She's really a great supporter of our Rotary District 50/50, so please welcome her. Her husband's name is Bill, and great people, and so it's great that they're able to attend. All right? We are ready for early leavers, but you're not going to want to go because we've got our own Lisa Janicki here to tell us about county business today. But to introduce here with her, how about other money?
So, thank you. I'm in charge of the programs for September, and we got a whole group of really good people, but we're going to start with Lisa, and I just got to tell you a little story. Exactly 40 years ago this week, Lisa walked into Gonzaga, and I was sitting there goofing off, and she said, I don't know where I'm going, and I said, I'll take care of you. And that was 40 years ago, and the truth is, she's been been taking care of me for 40 years, and most of the time it's been, she has a comment that, don't make me regret something I did 40 years ago. And, but usually it works well. So yeah, Lisa's giving up the star.
Afraid that was going nowhere good. As you guys have all heard the story, that later on at that very same university, the priest who did our premarital classes flunked us and said he wouldn't marry us. Maybe just to prove him wrong. Anyway, thank you for inviting me back. I always love coming to Sedro-Woolley Rotary, the greatest Rotary club in the universe. A lot of that is because it's very much a homecoming. I always feel well-grounded and based when I come into a place where businesses, where all of you, where friends, are making things happen so that I can work for you over at the county. And so I really want to express appreciation for being able to be here. I've given updates before, and in this case, I started with an issue that seems to be kind of a big and new issue that not everybody knows about. And so I'm calling it a new form of county government, you decide. And there have been some articles in the paper, and there was recently a filing week for charter government, and a lot of people who stop me and talk to me are like, what is going on? We don't know, we don't understand. So in the spirit of education, I'm not going to take a political stance on this, but in the spirit of education, I thought we could share what that really means. So in addition to the charter proposition, I'll touch base a little bit on the EMS fire base, give you an update there. There's a county has recently purchased some property nearby to start a new stabilization campus, and then on your tables there's a solution to addiction forum. So I want to be mindful of time. Carl, I have until what minute to get this?
15 after.
Okay.
That includes questions.
Yeah, okay. So the charter proposition was put forward by initiative, and that is an allowed form through the Washington State Constitution. The Constitution was amended in 1948 that allowed counties to move from the established form of government under Constitution, which is the three-commissioner format that we currently have in Skagit County, and you can change or go to a charter for your own counties. Right now, there's 39 counties in the state. 7 of those 39 have elected a charter form of government. And so you can see Skagit County up there as being kind of the blank spot on the map of highly Puget Sound centric. The first one down there is King County, went in 1969 with a charter. So a full 21 years after it was allowed in the Constitution, went with the charter form of government. So right now, this is what we have as our, this is what the county looks like. The county commissioners, the 3 of us, have hired Tim Halloran, our county administrator, and on the department side of the world, those are the departments that we oversee. Under, I guess we'll get to a slide later, but in contrast to that, there's a whole bunch of county electeds that, although the county commissioners provide budget, we do not provide departmental oversight, assessor, auditor, treasurer, so we're going to talk about them in a little bit. But those are the direct departments of the board of commissioners. So there's the form of government that generally, if you go under a charter, you're going to move to a form of government that is what is the executive, county executive. Think of the Dow Constantine of King County, or Jack Klaus of Whatcom County, Dave Summers down in Snohomish County. So county executive, and then a part-time county council. So that is what that top form is. And then as I say that, this all starts with the voters. I should say that, the voters hire all of us. And And so what we currently have is an elected commission with an appointed administrator. Some of those, the charter counties, San Juan County, Clallam County, actually went through a charter process but maintained a commissioner form of government. There are other things that they can change when they do that. For example, when we talk about those other electeds, when you go under a charter, you can take and make the assessor, coroner, any of those red X's, you can make those positions, instead of being a separately elected official, they can be hired by the county process. So county executive that goes through the process of hiring gets confirmation from their county council. So you would get that separation of executive and legislative to do the hiring for some key positions. The protected positions by our state constitution, I saw Rich in the back, the prosecuting attorney is always going to be elected, as are the judges. Those are protected under the state constitution. So there was recently, you saw in the newspaper that recently there was a petition that was brought forward that 2,800 signatures had been validated. And so that petition initiated this process of putting a home rule charter question onto the November ballot. So in November, we are all going to vote on should Skagit County pursue or change to a charter form of government. So it's a yes/no question. But regardless of how you vote on that question, the next question will be, should we be picking, the first question will be, should we form a charter form of government and elect freeholders? Freeholders is the key word. And then there will be freeholder positions. The petition that was submitted to the county elections office included the count of 21 freeholders. There are 3 commissioner districts, and from each of those 3 districts, the 7 freeholders would be elected. And the question is, well, what exactly is a freeholder? A freeholder is basically going to be your constitution writer. If you think of this as a constitution convention, a new charter is basically a new constitution for our county. And the goal would be that if the citizens vote yes, that you have immediately 21 people who, by law, have to be elected on the same ballot as the question was asked, the yes or no question. The Constitution says on the very same ballot, you have to pick the freeholders. The number was determined by that petition. And then within 30 days of that election, the freeholders have to convene their first meeting. And then after that, it's up to the freeholders to decide. It's up to the freeholders, 21 people, to decide, do they meet, weekly, daily, whatever the circumstance is. And I know that the Home Rule Skagit group was very insistent that they would be able to complete this in less than a year, so that a new charter or a new form of government could be put to the voters in November of 2019. So we'll vote yes or no in 2018, and then the hope and expectation of the petitioning group was that we would actually vote on a new form of government a year from now. Some people say, well, if I vote no, I'm not going to vote for freeholders. I would encourage everybody to look at that list of freeholders. There are about 25 freeholders who filed for District 3. Within this club, John Janicki is one of those people. Sharon Dillon is one of the, also filed for positions. So there's 7 different positions. Some of them have 2 people running. Some of them have 5 people running for a single position. But assuming that you all live in District 3, you will see that list. District 1 is over there, Anacortes, very part of Anacortes, and coming a little bit east. And then District 2 is Mount Vernon. But District 3 is Burlington, Sedro-Woolley, and everything east. So those are broadly the distinctions. So we talked about this. This all happened on a fairly fast timeline when you think about it. The signature verification just happened August 16th. Last week of August was what was filing week. So all those candidates for office now have to go to the regular PDC, public disclosure filing process. And then on November 6th, we will be voting on both the measure and those freeholder positions, or those constitutional conventions. And it says there is no timeline, but I know that the hope in the initial was to somewhat fast track this. So I'm going to break it right there for a second and just ask, are there questions about this or comments? Go ahead, John.
How many, are there several counties that have tried this and it's failed?
Yeah, there are, and I don't know them by line. I know that San Juan County went to charter form of government, and they went to 5 commissioners. They said, well, we'll do 5 commissioners. And 5 commissioners is actually allowed in the Constitution. If you get to a population of 300,000, you can go to 5 commissioners. Skagit County population is 125, so we're not going to get there like that. But San Juan was at 5 commissioners, and when they first went into charter, and they went back to 3. So Lewis County right now has approved a charter, so they are in the process of organizing their freeholders now. So that, that could happen. So
we currently have 3 districts, but those districts go away, right? Or we have 7 districts. What's the breakdown of the county?
I think the districting will be really a really interesting question, because if they go to if the freeholders decide to go to a 7 council of 7, then they will have to divide the county in some logical
Or illogical.
by precinct. So they'll have to carve off precincts so that there's approximately equal population in each of those precincts. But depending on how that is done, in this form of government, then you would only vote for the person in your 1/7 of a pie. Right now, although I come from the 3rd district, when I'm in the general election, everybody votes for the commissioners as it stands now. So, Anacortes, Mount Vernon, they all vote for me coming out of District 3. So it will be different. You only get to vote for your 1 council person. Everybody will vote for that county executive, though. Mike?
2 questions, really. This whole process was started via a petition by somebody started this Skagit movement and started that, correct?
Yes, that's true.
And then the other question is, these freeholder possessions, if they're elected in November, if we vote yes and they're elected, are these paid positions, and if so, who's footing that bill?
The freeholders by law are unpaid positions. Definitely unpaid. The form of government, it's the one part, and people who are running for, some people running for freeholder have come to ask me, my opinion of where they can. I will share information, but I think the one piece that is false in what they say is that this reduces government. This does not reduce government, but if the argument is that you need to separate executive and legislative, and they're looking for accountability, is what they say. We want transparency and accountability, I guess implying that, I'm not accountable. They don't take it personally, so no, we don't like, the job you're doing, we're going to do a new form. No. It's, you're creating a part-time council with a full-time county executive. It's more people, and there's going to be more staffing to support part-time council people. So it's the one kind of, I call foul, I'll throw a red card on that one when they tell me it's reducing government. Travis.
Lisa, just a couple of quick questions. So one follow-up on Mike's question. Can you maybe let us know who was behind the initial petition and why? And then,
okay, go ahead.
Second question, and maybe I'm the only one here, but I'm like blown away sitting here as hearing about this kind of for the first time. That the fact that freeholders are already listed and have already filed. So can you maybe speak to the timeline a little bit?
So there is a website called Home Rule Skagit. During the course of a few months, they held some public meetings where they provided information about this charter initiative. This is not the first time it's come before the voters of Skagit County. In 2003, It was also, the initiative was also on the ballot, and it failed. I think it was a 72% no vote, something, it overwhelmingly failed. The, you know, as far as who's bringing it forward, you should go to the Home Rule Skagit website, but, yeah, there was a particular, okay, you know, I'm always supposed to be politically correct, I'm not usually there, so I'm just gonna say it out loud.
We do it our way here.
There's a group who was very unhappy about the way that the three commissioners took a stance opposed to the grizzly bear reintroduction process. And they felt like that was done not in a clear and transparent way, and they didn't like the fact that we had a Republican lobbyist back in Washington, D.C. That is the fundamental group, you know, where this came from. With that being said, I can tell you I've talked to a number of Republicans who support separating the legislative and executive branches of government. They think that our county has grown to a size where it makes sense to separate the two. So, you know, it has been, it has had support from both sides of the party line. I don't feel a large groundswell of support for it, but everything seems to be so uncertain in politics today. I will, you know, so I don't know where it's going. I just think I want people to make an informed decision when that ballot shows up on November 6th. Mike?
Lisa, are the cities for or against this in general, or have you had a chance to talk to any of the mayors? What's their opinion?
Mayor Sexton is actually running as a freeholder from the District 3 from Burlington, and I haven't talked to him specifically about this, but you know, sometimes the county in Burlington, you know, the city of Burlington, we don't always track all together with Burlington. Burlington's a tough nut to crack, honestly, but and I've said that to Steve. But Steve is running against Sharon Dillon, and Sharon and Steve have both come out or both supporting this, the initiative. That was in the newspaper, so that's not going to be. Yes.
What is the term of a freeholder? How long do they hold that position?
The term of the freeholder is for as long as it takes to write the Constitution. And if they choose, and if for some reason that position becomes vacant, then there's a mechanism that the county commissioners, I think, can put 3 people before the freeholder group, and they select their replacement member out of a recommended group of 3. So they're a very self-sufficient body. Ken?
Quick, I'm assuming that some of the freeholders that are on the ballot just in case it passes, so that voice can still be heard. Is that good? Not every freeholder's for it. That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely, I think that's absolutely true. In fact, I've seen written statement that says, I'm not supporting the initiative, but I want a reasonable, a balanced voice. And I think that's really important is to get a balance across. Okay, I'm being told to move on. I'm looking for this, that's in my head. I wanted to just, update you with the EMS transition. I was in the cities, Sedro-Woolley, Mount Vernon, Burlington, and Anacortes brought forth a proposal in the middle of July to the commissioners to say, hey, we can take on ambulance service. We already have fire-based service. 85% of our calls are medical calls anyway. So let's take on the advanced life support, the ALS service for the whole county. And in doing that, they basically take the county map and divvy it up into response areas so that the rural areas are covered. And the commissioners accepted that. And some people are concerned that that'll happen, fairly quickly. But, in the long run, we have, I think my EMS director said it's the quickest 17-year decision ever made, because every report that has been done says the model that we currently were under with a component unit of government, kind of a stepchild of the county Central Valley was not efficient. It was not, it didn't have the accountability. So I was really pleased that the cities could get together and agree on something. And I asked Dean and I were in a meeting this morning, and I left it at 11, and the cities continued on with this meeting to hammer out the last of the details. But the report this morning was that the fire chiefs and mayors had sit together and decided how to divvy out the equipment, the ambulances, all the other supporting equipment. The attorneys had gone together and already agreed on the drafted scope of work that the fire chiefs had put forward, and we're now working on general terms and conditions. No offense, Rich, but whenever your attorneys are like ahead of everybody on this is really wonderful. Melinda Miller from the county as our chief civil has done just a really great job, but had to work with each of the city attorneys. And so we have been having regular subcommittee meetings, and today was a second broader, the full group, of just how to move this forward for January 1st transition, because it's the ambulance service, it's emergency response, and we can't let there be a gap in it. And so I'm really excited about how this is moving forward, and I think it's down to the part of how much can we spend, and how will those dollars be allocated, because we want Skagit, which is considered a wilderness service. They have about 300 transports a year, versus, the rest of the system has 9,000 transports a year, but we need to make sure that there's still an ambulance up in Concrete to serve the East County. So it is working. If there's angst in the system, I would say that there's angst in what the paramedics who are currently employed by Central Valley, not knowing where they're going to end up. But in the next 2 weeks, the cities are all going to open up their hiring process and start that. So this was a really great solution to ALS.
Quick question, Lisa. I'm related to one of those paramedics who has major concerns about this whole process. Are all paramedics going to be guaranteed placement, job placement?
The language wasn't that it was guaranteed, but it was that all the fire chiefs agreed that it was high priority. So there would be high priority given to all the medics who are currently in the system. And some of the cities are hiring more people than they would actually need. It will balance out to make sure that we can do the best we can to get everybody employed.
And are these paramedics going to now be firefighter paramedics? And if so, some of the guys that have been in the system for 30 plus years and probably haven't been firefighters for years and years. What's going to happen there? Are they going to be expected to go on fire calls as well as aid calls, or?
So I talked to Chief Klinger, I've talked to Chief Bryce, and Anna Cordes already is running the fire medic model, so for them it's not a lot of change. They've been an ALS provider, all this time. For Chief Bryce in Mount Vernon, he comes from his last duty was Orange County, so he has seen this on a very large basis and has implemented changes to fire base. He has said that he will have standalone ALS units that don't have fire responsibility, but as those positions go away, he will rehire the fire ALS mix. So it will be. So there's a broader transition, and and Dean Klinger, the county specifically didn't want to require cities to do whatever. It had to work within each of their systems. But they're all, the amazing part is that they're all working so closely together to make sure there's as few gaps as possible. Quickly, I mentioned that Sedro-Woolley, the stabilization campus, the county in August purchased a piece of land that's just east of the Life Care Center on Highway 20. We are working with the city to improve the turn lanes and some safety aspects of entrance to there, and hopefully it will benefit the Life Care Center too. They always try to keep people from doing those weird lefts into that space. The purpose of the campus is to provide, to start the replacement of what is happening with Pioneer North up at the Swift Center. So a secure detox facility and then an evaluation and treatment facility there on that property. I love that location. You know, there'll be a whole public process as it goes through the essential public facilities public process, so there'll be lots of input. But I think in terms of, you know, it's not around a highly dense residential area. It's close to the hospital. It's right there by life care. I mean, there's just a lot of pieces that made that a really attractive piece of property. It's about 8 acres, and we've had the soil testing done there.
5 minutes.
What's that?
5 minutes.
Okay. So anyway, this will be a possible partnership with the Upper Skagit Tribe, who's also trying to put more beds into place, and we are working on some cost bid design and cost estimates to put in a capital ask with the legislature. And that's just an overview of where that project is. So, yeah, this is the new thing there's like here.
Where's Country Meadow Village on that?
So lastly, you all know that a year ago Mike and I lost Patrick, and one of my, you know, in taking on my public role of being part of the health department, I have a deep-seated belief that we can be better about talking about both addiction in its general terms and recovery in the longer terms. And what does it mean to be in recovery, and how can all of us do something to help? If I've learned anything after Patrick died, is that so many families struggle with this. So many adults that I know have gone through this or are going through this, and we can all be better about learning how to talk about this. So, in conjunction with the Swinomish Indian Nation recently opened that Degwalach Wellness Center. So we partnered with them in the sense that they have a wellness center that right now is treating about 70% non-tribal members. They have a bus. I saw the bus picking up patients at Liberty Bell. Is it still called Liberty Bell, the little grocery store? Picking up patients right here in Sedro-Woolley, and then they take them out for treatment and bring them back. So they're running all over the valley. They have a contract with Skagit County Jail to take people who are now clean and continue their treatment over at the Degwalach. And so, you know, we partnered with Swinomish, and this is a dinner time event. The tickets are now $20 for dinner and an evening of education. Dr. Fitzgerald will talk about the causes, the science behind addiction, how impacted the youth brain at age from 10 to 13 years old is such a critical time. And then there'll be a little bit of use of technology where from our phones we can help populate an action list and walk away with, you know, this is something, here's my list, here's my notes, these are the things that I can do to make this a better, more stable, more supportive community around addiction and recovery. So there's the good news and the bad news of this is we've been promoting the tickets at a $10 rate. So yesterday's count was that we have 409 seats committed, so we've got about 50 seats left. So if you or you know somebody who should be there, get them to sign up. There's flyers on your table.
Are you going to maybe have another one if you sell out? An annual event?
That will be, I'll bring that to you at the next Rotary update that I do. Okay. All right, thank you.
You get it. Don't go anywhere. You get a world famous pin so you can make some great landmark decisions. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
All right. Any final announcements before we wind her down? All right. Under the Doug Wood final thought of the day mode, my 5-year-old 3-year-old son squealed with delight as he opened his birthday present from his grandmother. It was a Super Soaker water pistol. He promptly ran to the sink to fill it and was squirting water all over the place. The surprised boy's mother said, "Grandma, I'm surprised at you. Don't you remember we used to give you so much trouble when we had a water pistol when we were kids?" Grandma smirked and smiled, and with a twinkle in her eye, "Yeah, I remember." I was reminded of that when I went to visit Miss Jessica. She was Mrs. Jessica Carey, my daughter, or my niece's daughter. She got married. And it was fun to see how her kids were pulling her chain and doing all the things that I used to experience. It was a really rewarding experience from that point of view. All right, we have a great day today. Come to the barbecue. Let's have a great time. If you drink too much, let us know. We'll get you right home. All right. We are adjourned.